The first thing you should do as a teacher who wants to plan a good work plan for the makerspace is to reflect on the coherence of your proposals and how they align with educational purposes, good learning, and the curriculum. Authors Silvia Lebo Martinez and Gary Steiger, in their book Invent to Learn, state the 8 characteristics of a good makerspace project that can serve as a checklist for your activity plan. Number 1, purpose and relevance. Is the project personally meaningful to students so they feel involved and motivated in it? Number 2, time. Have you given students enough time to plan, carry out, test, and revise their work? Number 3, complexity. Does the problem require knowledge from multiple subject areas to solve? Number 4, intensity. Does the project provide an outlet for students to deeply engage with the material? Number 5, connection. Are students collaborating with each other or connecting with powerful ideas and/or experts from around the world to solve a problem? Number 6, access. Do students have sufficient access to materials and information to complete their project? Number 7, shareability. Does the project provide an opportunity for students to share their work with an authentic audience outside of school? And lastly, number 8, novelty. Does the project represent a fresh idea? There exists a risk that if you're assigning the same tasks to students every school year, they can simply draw upon prior students' experiences rather than reaching their own discoveries. Of course, if you're a beginning teacher in a makerspace, you're not required to fulfill each and every one of the 8 characteristics, but they are a good starting point to start. Working collaboratively with other educators will make it easier to share ideas and grow projects. Get your students to reflect on their making activities. One of the most important issues in any maker activity is to generate reflection from the students. Therefore, it is very important that you design some type of template with some questions or sections that guide the students through the process. One of the ideas that are the most used to design maker work plans, especially in STEM projects, is to use the steps of design thinking. Typical steps include empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. Prior to using the first time, ensure that students see, hear, understand the parts and process of design thinking. Design thinking prompts. You can use to invite your students to consider different possibilities they have. Things to create or improve. A product, a service, experience, a process. Then, things to consider before prototyping. The price, the accessibility, the time, the person or the culture it aims at, and the resources. You can also offer some questions for reflection. What can be improved, price, access, time, in your prototype that affects you or a loved one? Who are we understanding? What are their needs? Is it a temporary or permanent product or service? Why does it matter to the user? What do you want your design to do when it is out of your hands? Is the desire to create something for function or beauty? If you do not want to use the design thinking steps, there are other ways to help your students with their project's reflection. Students can write down notes at each stage of the task process using this STEM reflection checklist challenge that has the several steps. What is the challenge? Research. What do you need to know? Ideas. What are your ideas? Design. What materials do you need? How you will create your design? Outcome. How did you test your design? What happened? And evaluate. What would you do differently? How could you make your design better?